Today we got a story time of a spoiled kid who believes that he is the top G. He believes that him flexing will get him all the ladies. And by the end of it, the spoiled kid will have learned his lesson that just flexing the stuff that his parents buys him actually doesn't make him the most attractive person on planet Earth. I think you'll enjoy today's story, so sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, and let's jump into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Adam. So anyways, right, Adam was in the 11th grade, basically his sophomore year in high school. So anyways, Adam was in high school. Oh, I already said that. But anyways, there's a kid in Adam's class. And the kid in Adam's class, we're just going to call it the spoiled kid. So the spoiled kid was a very standard spoiled kid. He was like kind of very entitled, very believed that, you know, everything that went well in his life was because he was just genuinely like intrinsically a better person than other people. He also was the type of spoiled kid where his parents would give him anything and everything, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with your parents having a bit more money. However, I do think like those parents should definitely consider withholding a bit more of that from their kids so that they can actually get a good value of what money is, and so that it doesn't go immediately to their head, because the spoiled kid in Adam's class was a great example of kind of the worst that can happen with like giving your kids way too much and not allowing them to understand, you know, the value of what they're getting. I'll give a little example. So this kid, right, a couple years ago, so back in 8th grade, when they were in middle school, but almost in high school, because they all went to the same middle school, they all went to the same high school. It was one of those situations. Basically, what happened was that, you know, they were trying to figure out a class trip. Like, they wanted to do an unofficial class trip over the summer. So a lot of kids would get together, like, on the weekend, and, like, all the parents were trying to organize it or whatever. And it was kind of like for the entire class, but they wanted to go somewhere. So a lot of people were saying, oh, we should go to the neighboring state. I don't necessarily want to say what state it is, but, oh, we should go to a state that's real nearby so that, you know, we'll go somewhere cool. We'll go somewhere new. However, what we will do is, like, we're not going to, like, it's not going to be a crazy trip where you need to buy planes and all that kind of stuff. And the spoiled kid was like, guys, like, no, I don't want to do that. I think we should all go to, like, Japan, which is, look, Japan's a very beautiful place. I would love to go at some point in my life. I think that'd be really cool. However, that is a crazy expensive plane ticket. And it's just like to do it on the whim. And the spoiled kid was like saying that with the group of guys, and they were all like, I don't know, we have to check with our parents. And obviously all the parents were like, yo, we agreed that you guys we would drive you like an hour. We didn't say we'd drop a band on a plane ticket, dude. Like, that is a huge, like, a totally different thing. So when all the kids told the spoiled kid, like, oh, like, sorry, it's not going to work, the spoiled kid just simply could not comprehend why it wasn't working, because for him, he would literally go on like an exotic vacation every 2 months, bro. Like, he would be going out to the craziest places, and like money literally didn't mean anything to him. It wasn't even a tool. It wasn't even like a number. He didn't check the price tag for anything. And that kind of led into the demise of the spoiled kid, which is happening in this story. So anyways, we're going to introduce a character, and we're going to call her, let's just call her Caroline, right? Yeah, so this all starts because there's a girl who we're going to call Caroline, right? So she is new. She's the new girl, and they're starting, so that whole summer incident, I think I said it happened in 8th grade, but it actually happened freshman year, because I was told by the subscriber who submitted the story to my Instagram account. Basically, he said this happened this summer before 11th grade, which is when this story happens. So anyways, there's a new girl. There's a few new kids, and every single year they'd have a few new kids. Like, kids would just move into the neighborhood. Maybe parents would get a job there, like, would have to move jobs or whatever, so they would move as well. But yeah, anyways, there's a new kid in the neighborhood, or a lot of new kids, and they would join the school, and one of the new people, you know, was this girl named Caroline, and she was, you know, she was definitely on the prettier side, and a lot of kids at the school recognized that. And, you know, there's already a little bit of, like, I don't know, an allure, one might say, to, like, the new girl or whatever, like, oh my god, like, the new girl, like, already, and she was just genuinely pretty, so, like, almost every guy off the bat was like, what's good? Like, my name's whatever, right? How's it going? I care about you, and I'm definitely not in it just to, y'all already know what I'm trying to say, right? So the spoiled kid was no exception, and the subscriber, who I totally forgot the name of, we're just going to call him Ben. I called him something else earlier. We're calling him Ben. I don't care at this point. The subscriber, Ben, like, he already was, like, kind of talking to someone else, so he didn't fall into this category of being obsessed with this new girl, Caroline, like everyone else was. However, like, it was almost kind of annoying because, like, all of his friends would be like, oh my God, you know, the new girl, like, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And, you know, Ben would be like, dude, shut up. Like, I don't care. Like, you're not the only one, by the way, because, like, the entire lunch table would be talking about her. And, but the thing is, the spoiled kid has this kind of belief. And this belief will definitely come to haunt him in a little bit. He believes that if he just flexes hard enough, that he will be able to get all the women. Because he sees, you know, the billionaires that are like 60 years old with a 21-year-old supermodel. And one might say that maybe it's not the physical side that is leading to the attraction, at least in one of the directions, and it might be the financial status, right? So the spoiled kid believes that that would translate equally to school. So if he wears his Gucci belt prominently enough that all the women will love him. Let me just say that this is 9 out of 10, if not 99 out of 100 times, not the case. So the spoiled kid, right, this all happens in class. Like, Ben witnesses the demise of the spoiled kid in his class with him. So let's just say, let's call it, I don't know, math class. I wasn't told exactly what type of class. But in this class, it was Ben, the spoiled kid, Caroline, and a bunch of other people. But the important part is all three of them were in it. So Ben was able to witness this whole thing go down as well. He was able to kind of just, not just witness it, but have to deal with the cringe, right? So on the very, very first day, Caroline comes in, sits down. She's already talking to this like group of girls because she almost like immediately assimilates into the popular girl group. Like, it just happened right away. Yeah, so immediately on the first day, Caroline is sitting down with the girl, like kind of like the new girls that she's friends with. She's immediately kind of like assimilated into the popular girl group. However, almost like there's like an empty seat next to her because she's kind of like on the end of a row of 3. There's a fair number of empty seats in this class, as this class is like 70% full. So there's a decent number of empty seats. So there's also one, like the row of Caroline is like, she's at like 1 from the wall. So there's one more seat before the wall. And she's sitting in a row with like girls that she's talking to. And immediately the spoiled kid sits down in that seat, which is totally fine. You're allowed to sit wherever you want to. It's just class, man. Like, I get it. It's not that deep. However, the spoiled kid immediately is like, oh wow, and he starts like grabbing his like pant leg or something, which is really weird. Like, what are you doing? So obviously gets Caroline's attention as well as a lot of people's attention, and he's like, oh wow, this hurts so bad, and he pulls out his like Gucci wallet, and he just like drops on the ground. He's like, oh wow, that must have been like pinching my leg or something. Which, like, I'm not sure how your Gucci wallet was pinching your leg. Like, I just don't see how that was happening, but whatever, right? So he drops the wallet on the ground and, like, very clearly, like, very loudly dropping it, very intentionally dropping it. Like, it was so obvious that he was dropping it solely to, like, get the attention of Caroline, to show her, oh, look, I have a Gucci wallet, bro. Look at that. It's like, oh, my God, wow. That was hurting so bad because it was so heavy and full, which, like, I don't totally understand that flex either, because your wallet's heavy. Like, does that just mean you have a lot of, like, paper bills in it? Like, how heavy would it really be? I get maybe you have a bunch of bills in it, but it's just paper at the end of the day. Like, if it's really heavy, you probably have a lot of coins in it, and then what's that going to be, like, $6 added up? Like, I don't know, man. I don't totally get the flex. I think the majority of the flex was, oh my God, I spent like $400 on a wallet. Or when I say I spent, I mean his father purchased it for him or whatever, right? So he's like, oh my God, I can't believe I just dropped that on the ground. That's so crazy. Yeah. Caroline's just looking at this kid like, what? Because here's the thing, right? Caroline has a little bit of character. And let me just say that flexing what your parents buy you when you're in high school actually will not get all the ladies. It may actually, get you some male clout, but it's not. If you're a guy, it might get you some guys to be like, oh, dude, that's sick. But it's definitely not going to get any girls to be like, oh, okay, right? If you buy the new Yeezy Supreme brick or whatever, right, dude, it's only going to be guys that are going to have any interest at all, bro. It's literally going to only be guys, which is, if that's the attention you want, then that's totally fine. But I feel like so many guys go into, like, the hypebeast brands, and I'm like, dude, the ladies are going to love my Supreme hoodie. Man, let me tell you that I had a very brief hypebeast period where I bought, like, the socks, and I'm like, damn, this is kind of stupid. But let me just say, the ladies are not going to be like, wow, that's a Balenciaga Bape off-white hoodie. That's so hot. Like, I guarantee you that is a sentence or a thought that has never happened in a woman's brain, bro. I'm telling you right now, just a little bit of advice from me. It's not worth the money you put into it. So anyways, like, Caroline sees this and she's just like not responding because, like, how do you respond to this? Like, genuinely, how do you respond to this, bro? Like, how do you respond to someone just being like, oh my God, I dropped my Gucci wallet. Oh my God, it's so heavy and full of money. Like, I just don't know how you respond to that, dude. Like, I just genuinely don't understand. So let's just go ahead and make wallet the secret word of the day because, you know, might as well. So comment wallet down below if you made it this far into the video. That'll be the secret word of the day. And while you're in the comment section, make sure to check out the pinned comment on this video, as there's a link to the Spotify page in which I upload these stories as podcasts, as well as a link to my second YouTube channel, which I just started more recently, so please subscribe to it. I tell stories on there, but I tell Reddit stories or stories I got from Reddit instead of stories I got from you guys, like on this channel. I'll be uploading to both every day, so make sure you're subscribed to both. Anyways, let's get back to it. So yeah, this spoiled kid continues to be very, very strange. It just acts really weirdly. So anyways, the subscriber Ben is walking down the halls one day. This is a couple days later. And Caroline is walking with her kind of group of new girlfriends or whatever. It was like the freshman year popular group of girls, but it was like them plus Caroline now. She must have just kind of inserted herself in there, which, I mean, she was the new pretty girl with all the attention, so I feel like she kind of fit in pretty well. And she was just walking down, and Ben was like just walking down the hallway. And that's when he notices the spoiled kid is walking down the hallway as well. And this spoiled kid legitimately brings in one of the dumbest things that has ever been. Like, let me just have a little mini rant. So Supreme is a company that makes sports, clothing, wear, whatever. And I don't mind if you like it. I think I liked it at some point. It's not really my cup of tea now, but that's fine. However, almost like in a trolling manner, they made a brick and sold it for like $300. So if you bought a brick and it says Supreme on it, you had to pay top dollar. And I think resellers made it really expensive. So the spoiled kid, because he got literally whatever he wanted, bought a Supreme brick. So he decided that the way that he was going to entice this girl to fall in love with him was to show off his Supreme brick. I can barely say that statement with a straight face because it's just so goofy in my opinion, right? So he's walking down the hallway, and Caroline's walking down the hallway with her friends, and he's literally like, oh my God, my backpack, it's so heavy. And he's like being like super loud and like trying to like get Caroline's attention. And she's like kind of ignoring him because while he's not talking to her directly, he's kind of talking into the void, hoping that she would be the one who would respond to him. You know what I mean? Like, she was kind of hoping that, you know, or he was kind of hoping that she'd be like, oh, like, okay, like, oh, well, why is your backpack so heavy? When in reality, she's probably like, bro, I'm not trying to, like, get away from me, bro. You're weird. Yeah, so he's kind of like, oh my God, it's so heavy. And Caroline's trying to ignore him. So he's like, oh, hey there, Caroline. And she's like, what's up? He's like, oh my God, my bag's so heavy right now. And like Ben's watching this whole thing go down. It's so cringy and uncomfortable. He's like, oh my God. So sure enough, she's like, okay. And like all the other popular girls are with her, kind of like giving a look like, what is this kid doing? Because like while the spoiled kid like had a lot of like stuff at his disposal, he was not one of those like spoiled rich kids who were like super popular because he would bring everyone on vacations with him. He was actually seen pretty negatively at the school because a lot of people kind of just saw him as a spoiled brat, but also saw him as like super uncool. So yeah, and the popular girls were like, oh God, like this kid again. Because he probably tried to do the same with all of them last year. And he's like, oh my God, I wonder why my backpack is so heavy. Oh, look at this. And he like unzips and he pulls out like the Supreme brick. He's like, wow, this limited edition $300 Supreme brick just happened to fall into my backpack. And it's so heavy. That's why it's so difficult for me to carry this. And she's like, okay, haha. Because like she's trying to be polite. I mean, she's new at the school. Like, I don't blame her trying to be polite and all. Like, I do understand that. But the spoiled kid is not making things easy for her to be nice, right? He's like, oh my God, it's so heavy. It was so expensive too. I could totally resell this for like $500. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying. And like Ben is listening to this whole thing going down. He's kind of in Ben's head. He's like, dude, shut up. Dude, shut up for your own good, bro. Shut up. I need you to shut up right now, bro, for your own good. Yeah. So the spoiled kid just keeps talking, keeps yammering on about like his Supreme Gucci brick or whatever. And eventually, like Caroline and his friends just kind of like walk away. And the spoiled kid he has this like happy look on his face, as if like he secured some victory, as if he really showed like, oh wow, she knows I'm rich now. She'll love me. But everyone else who saw it objectively was like, wow, like this kid is actually pathetic. Like this is obviously not going to work. However, the spoiled kid at this point must have believed that Caroline was now deeply in love with her or in love with him because, oh, she saw the supreme brick, man. She must actually love me now. But the reality was that was not the case. However, the spoiled kid believed this. So he was going to act on it. Yes, the spoiled kid is about to ask her out and continuously flex money while doing so and get owned, which is pretty satisfying. Yeah, so anyways, this kid goes on to like the next day at like once again in the hallway. Actually, no, sorry, in class. I'm mixing it up with the last one, right? So in class, remember the class that Ben, the subscriber, Caroline, and the spoiled kid all had together. Before class, they would get there a couple minutes early just to like, I don't know, they just got there earlier than the teacher. This is something that happened. And so basically what happened was that Caroline was sitting there with her friends, kind of not expecting anything strange coming from the spoiled kid to happen. But the spoiled kid walks in with basically with Gucci flip-flops in a plastic bag. So really weird, like why would this kid be walking into class with Gucci flip-flops in a plastic bag, you might be asking. Well, basically, he walks over to Caroline, he's like, hey, I got a proposal for you. And Caroline's like, okay. Remember, she doesn't know this kid. This kid just does really weird stuff in front of her to flex and talks to her a little bit, but not really. So she's like, okay, question mark. And Ben is looking at this like, oh God. And the spoiled kid basically says, so, if you'll go on a date with me, I will give you these Gucci flip-flops. So yeah, the spoiled kid has decided that his strategy of with this girl is going to be bribery. Yeah, you heard me right. The way to a woman's heart is bribery, by the way, guys. Like, that's just how it works. I just want to let you know. The way that you get one to fall in love with you is to bribe her with Gucci flip-flops, obviously. No, on the serious, though, this is such a terrible idea. And everyone in class who heard this just started cringing so hard. And they're like, oh, my God, no way this kid actually just did that, right? So sure enough, right, the spoiled kid is like, so, what do you think? And Caroline's like, no, no. And he's like, what? But these are really expensive. I thought you really want them. And she's like, well, not necessarily. But even if I wanted them, why would I go on a date with you just to get them? Like, this is like a means to an end. Like, wouldn't that just make sense for me to go on a date with you than not go on another date after I got the things? And he's like, well, I thought you'd fall in love with me for my riches. And she's like, what? No, like, this high school. I don't care. Like, what are you talking about? And this is pretty awkward because it's happening in front of the entire class. And the spoiled kid's like, what? But okay, I'll also give you $500 cash if you go on a date with me. And she's like, no. And he's like, $1,000 cash. And at this point, like, Ben was like, dude, if I was a girl, I'd just say yes at this point. Not to like actually go out with him long term, but I mean, $1,000 cash is $1,000 cash. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, sure enough, the spoiled kid is like eventually gets rejected in front of everyone and hopefully learns his lesson. Maybe not, but hopefully learns his lesson that you can't buy your way into a relationship. Lol.